Lovely, thank you for that, Kate. So yes, welcome to a webinar on ISO 9001 for small business. As Kate said, delivered by ISO Quality Services, which is the business I work for. So if we just have a look at the slide now. So the aim of today's webinar is to provide you with an overall understanding of the ISO 9001 quality management system. I'll be outlining the key aspects of the standard and explaining why an SME business should implement ISO 9001. I'll also be talking through the different options available to small and micro businesses. There are a couple of routes you can go to achieving ISO implementation. First of all, I just want to cover off who we are as an organisation for anyone that isn't aware of us. So at the heart of our business, we're a family-run business. Our chairman, Peter Appleton, my father, formed the organisation back in May 2000. So we've been trading 18 years this year. We are members of various chambers of commerce, as well as being closely linked to the local enterprise partnership here in Worcestershire. I sit on the business board of that. And I joined the business about 8 years ago. And have taken over as operations director about 5 years ago now, and I undertake an all-round role, kind of looking after the team based in Worcester. Our head office is in Worcester. We're a close-knit team. We regularly comment about the fact that not only are we a family business, actually a family business, but also we look at our staff as being a bit of our extended family as well. And family ethos and customer service are two things that are very important to the business and everybody that works for it. So just a bit of background there. Okay, on to the ISO. So what is ISO? So ISO stands for International Standards Organization. And an ISO certification is a seal of approval from a third party that a company runs to one of the internationally recognised ISO or British management systems. Now, I say one of because there are about 19,500 different standards out there, but there really are only a handful that are kind of industry recognised or expected to achieved by businesses, and we're going to talk about one of those today. So a little bit more, the management standards are, as the title would suggest, internationally recognised. They provide a framework and consistency for businesses to work to. And it gives companies control and direction. And the logo that I've popped on here, the certificated logo for ISO 9001, is possibly something that you'll be familiar with. You may have seen kind of other suppliers or other businesses have this logo on their website, or variations of it. Obviously, as independent businesses, we all have our own variations of the logo, but this is something you may have seen. So more specifically, I'm going to talk today about the ISO 9001, which effectively is the base standard that any organisation should achieve. It's a process approach to running a business designed to achieve a consistent level of customer satisfaction. Customers hold a greater level of trust and confidence in a business that holds an ISO management standard. And some of the components that we'll look at in a moment ensure that an organisation is designed to support a company in meeting the needs of its customers and overall business performance. So it's very much looking at the business in a strategic sense. It's proven to make business owners and managers feel more in control, and this is through improved process management and providing a framework for best practice. So ensuring that there's a process to do all the critical parts of the business to make sure that customers get what they want when they want it. And as I said, it can help a company achieve a consistent level of customer satisfaction. And this is because it promotes a risk-based thinking approach, looking forward, what could happen, what things can we put in place to make sure that that doesn't happen, and provides a mechanism for the business to resolve problems quickly and effectively. And we're going to talk a bit more about how we can do this and give you some tips on how you can do this. So some of the key aspects that a 9001 system looks at. So we've already talked about customer focus. So this really is at the heart of the standard. The new version of the ISO 9001 came into place in September 2015, and this very much put leadership in the forefront of people's minds. So whereas before it was quite possible, not advisable, but possible for an organisation to run a quality management system and a business on the other side. The 9001-2015 version very much brings the two together and ensures that leadership is demonstrated throughout every decision-making process. Engagement of people, ensuring people know what is expected of them at all times and allow them to make suggestions to the organisation for improvement. Talked about it having a process approach. Continual improvement is something that the organisations need to demonstrate in order to achieve 9001. It has an evidence-based approach to decision making, so rather than just making decisions based on a feeling, it's actually looking at the evidence behind that and making sure that the organisation's making sound decisions. And also looks at relationship management between suppliers, customers, employees and other key stakeholders. Now this is particularly important with regards to people know about making good relationships or having good relationships with your customers, but also you need to have good relationships with your suppliers. It's just as difficult to find a good supplier as it is to find a good customer. So the standard makes sure that you take into account your suppliers as well as your customers. And then on the right-hand side of the slide here just shows some of the different methods that you can achieve those principles. So having good document and record control, make sure that you're in order and customers know what's happening, and making sure you have proper sign-off sheets for works. Having customer satisfaction surveys obviously helps let you know if you're on the right track. Training records for your people, ensuring that you've got adequately trained staff for everything that you do. Preferred supplier list, so this is talking about that relationship with the supplier and building upon those. Monitoring and measuring, they always say don't value the measurable, measure the valuable. And what that really means is don't measure something just because it's easy to measure, measure something because it provides you with good information. Contract review, so making sure that you're not overstretching your resources by taking on new contracts. Having quality objectives, so these aren't around financial targets, these are more around maybe customer satisfaction targets, you know, increasing your customer satisfaction from good to excellent or whatever your target may be. Having management review meetings, so this is around kind of reviewing the management system and ensuring that you are looking at ways to improve and have a record of kind of that key management meeting that allows you to overview the system and take a step back from the day-to-day running, I suppose. And non-conformance control, which is the one I'm going to look at a little bit more deeply now. So non-conformance, it's a lovely ISO term, I know, but it basically is just when something goes wrong or doesn't go quite according to plan. The idea of recording non-conformances is so that you can identify trends and record trends. It may indicate a training need, a change of process, or an area of improvement for the business. Now, examples of non-conformances could be where an internal process is broken down, and this usually happens between functions or departments. So a common one is between the sales team and the finance team, or between the sales process and the finance process, because of course this doesn't have to be for big organizations or big teams. It can be for one person doing both, but it's just making sure you have the internal process nailed down. It could be a customer complaint. That's a classic non-conformance where a customer has complained. Or it could be supplier performance. So you could be recording whenever a supplier lets you down in order to have that kind of open and honest conversation with them as to where they need to be going right, or helping you to make sure that you can deliver to your customers. So why would you implement 9001? It could be something to do with your particular industry. It could be that your competitors have it, in which case you need to bring yourself up to a level playing field. It could be that they don't have it, in which case this could set you apart from the competition. However, the way that I always look at it is look internally first. What will this system give you internally? So by having a consistent approach to customer management, you'll be able to deliver a consistent level of quality and satisfaction, and hopefully reduce those, if any, customer complaints. It will allow you to increase your profit potential and market share as organisations become familiar with the fact that you have this standard. You can maybe move into different industries that you haven't been able to work in before because it is a prerequisite. Again, internally, it solves problems quickly and efficiently. Biggest time waster in an organisation, for management especially, is sorting out problems and problem solving. So if you can eradicate as many of those as you can, then obviously the business is going to run more smoothly. And as a business owner and business director, feel more in control of the business. You know what's happening, you know how to induct staff, you know how to onboard new customers. There's kind of a feeling of overall control. But I've also separated these out into short and long-term benefits of ISO 9001. So these are the most popular reasons that we get approached by people wanting to implement the standard. You may have a contract or tender that you're looking to win. It is mainly a prerequisite on all public sector tenders, and now it's going into the private sector as well. Could be for marketing purposes. You might not actually formally tender, but obviously you're still going to be tendering for business via your marketing methods. So having it on your website, having it on your email signatures, letterheads, etc. Or it could be for credibility. Having a standard being audited against a recognised system provides you with credibility in your marketplace or in the business community as a whole. However, as I said, there are some more long-term benefits, which I really see these as I see the short-term benefits as like the outwardly facing benefits, the external benefits, and these ones here are your more internal benefits. So, you may be looking to improve staff retention, or if you're going to be recruiting staff for the first time, kind of making sure that you do it right from the outset. This can work by staff knowing what is expected of them to increase increase job satisfaction, retention and security. You could be looking to improve your customer satisfaction, so improve the customer-supplier relationship by proactively responding to customer feedback. You might be looking at improving your ability for growth, so you could be an organisation that's looking to grow. And the ISO 9001 encourages sustainable business growth, and that's an important word there, sustainable. You could be looking for protection, business protection, through meeting legal and regulatory requirements. GDPR obviously is the hot topic of May, definitely with the legislation coming into play on the 25th. So this would be a mechanism for you to ensure that you're up to date with all legal and regulatory requirements. It can also help with organisation stability, and as I said a couple of times, just repeating it, provides a framework for business risk management and planning, so that you're really taking note of what could could happen to your business tomorrow. GDPR is a great one. It's not only a legal and regulatory requirement, but also the fines are quite hefty, so that could provide a business with some due fines, etc. So making sure that proper processes are in place to protect its data could be part of your system. So what does it tell customers? So businesses who are looking to work with other organisations want to know that you are in control of your business. It wants to know that you keep your promises, and if things go wrong, you put them right. And this is where the non-conformance control really is a major part, because with the best will in the world, sometimes things do go wrong. And as long as you have the ability or the mechanism or the want to put them right through this management system, then chances are you'll still keep your customer. I always think personally, a company can be measured more by how they put things right than by things never going wrong in the first place, because we're all human, accidents happen, mistakes happen. And I think it's an important, shows a lot about an organisation when they tackle a customer issue head on and sort it out. Okay, so just moving on to the options for small and micro businesses. So as I said, there are a couple of different routes that you can go. So there's the full certification route, which I'll talk through first. But on top of that, we've also created a product called ISO LITE, which is a do-it-yourself version, if you like. So I'll talk through that in a moment as well. And on top of that, which I won't talk through as much, but just to make you aware, we do offer quality management training, and online training is the new product for this year as well in the training division. So lots of support for as much or as little. I mean, online training starts at £49 plus VAT per module, so you can spend £49, or obviously you can go and get yourself fully certificated, which is more in the region of a couple of thousand, so, and everything in between. So just wanted to make you aware that there is options for every budget, if you like. So I'll just talk you through the main certification process. So initially, an organisation like ourselves will need to come in and conduct an initial assessment on the business. Now, this is looking at the organisation and mapping the clauses of the standard, so the framework, to your business. So rather than, you know, we're not going to, if it ain't broke, don't fix it type approach. So if you do something and we can tweak it to make it compliant to the ISO, that's the route that we'll take. So it isn't about completely coming in and changing your business. Actually, you should see it as a long-term change. So, you know, you implement ISO now, but it lasts, you know, for years and years to come, and you should see regular step changes over time, not just like a massive change all in the first month, which can feel daunting. So we conduct the initial assessment. We would recommend areas for improvement to meet the requirements. We might actually help you plug some of those gaps. So if there's any basic kind of standard requirements needed, we can provide documentation, we can provide template processes in order to help get you up to scratch. We'll also compile all the documentation for you. So we actually write the documentation for our clients. So part of the initial assessment process is to gather that information to be able to write bespoke documentation for you. And then about 6 to 8 weeks later from the initial assessment, we'll come back and present that documentation to you. And depending on how you've done against the recommendations that we've set from the outset, if all going well and you've put in place what we needed you to put in place, then the business will be certificated. And that's when you can use the logo going forward, pop it on your website, provide the certificate for tendering works and things like that. But it doesn't stop there with certification. Certification is a fully involved process. It does last for a minimum of 3 years. So we need to come and re-audit you. So we do this via 2 visits. So we do an internal review at the 6-month stage, and we do a re-certification audit at the 12-month stage. And the reason for this is that if you leave a customer, if you implement all this stuff and then leave them for 11 months, and we come back and re-audit in the 12th month, chances are you'll find stuff that you haven't done necessarily the best will in the world over the 12 months. So we try and make it a little bit less stressful for you. By coming in at 6 months, it's not a certificate dependent audit, so you're not at risk of losing your certificate. But what we can do is identify if you've gone slightly off track, or even if you are doing really well and improving and you've put in lots of new recommendations, we can actually update those recommendations for you and take you to, again, the next level up. So really that internal review is really, really important to making sure that you make the most out of your management system and improve it as much as possible. So this is our process to full certification. So this is taking you from scratch, setting you up, writing all the documentation, providing you with the certification, and then auditing you against that certification every 12 months with a health check internal review every 6 months to ensure that you're not going to go out of certificate. However, for some businesses, we identified that this might be a bit too much for an organisation from the outset. So we've provided or produced a product called ISO LITE, and at the moment it's only for 9001, although we are about to launch it for information security ISO 27001, which you may have heard of, especially in light of GDPR. And this system is most suited to businesses under 250k, although that is not a prerequisite. That is just our target, I suppose, of why we created this product, but it doesn't mean that businesses over that can't take it on board. It's suited to businesses that maybe have a limited resource or are unsure about how much time will be needed to run a management system, and they want to give it a go without the pressure of certification at first. So yeah, the business might not be ready for full certification. Again, they might be in growth plans or might not have yet hired any staff or whatever the reason may be, but not ready for full certification. But they do want to work to a recognised management system, and they do want to start putting things in place so that in 6, 12, 18 months time, when they will be ready for certification, they're in a better position and a stronger position from the start. So this provides a downloadable toolkit with the key framework for the ISO 9001. It consists of help guides, workbooks, and standard templates. The idea is that an organisation can implement it at its own pace. So rather than our process being 6 to 8 weeks, you could take 6 to 8 months if you wanted to, and just implement the bits that you wanted to that are most important or going to make the most positive changes to the business at first, and then obviously work your way through and implement the other sections at a later date. It's a low investment for an organisation, so it's well, we'll come on to the pricing in a moment, but it's low investment, allows you to dip your toe in the water, see whether you have the resource, see whether it's something that would be suited to your business, see whether it's something that you feel would add value to your business for a low investment. And this is what it looks like. So actually, we have actually updated our web page in the last week. So, but very similar to this, you'd go onto our website, click on ISO for SMEs. Once you'd signed up, this would what your menu would look like. So you have access to the forms and templates, the center one there, training dates, client area news, frequently asked questions and tutorials. But the forms and templates is kind of this section here, if you can see my cursor, would be where you would start off. And then this is what it would look like. So as I said, it has the ISO LITE implementation workbook at the top there. So that would be your first document that you download. And that literally is a workbook. So you just read through it and follow the instructions. It's a step-by-step guide. And then in there, it will link to these other documents here, which are all coded for ease. There's some general guidance notes at the top here just to provide you with extra information on some of the core elements, such as understanding the scope of your business activities, understanding your interested parties. And then, like I said, there's all the downloadable documents here in order to help you put those processes in place. So coming on to cost now. So as I said, it's a fairly low investment, £495 plus VAT. We mentioned we also do training as well. So we do ISO LITE Plus, which includes one physical training course. We also do online training for £49 if that was going to be a better option for you. But we just feel that some training may help overall with the implementation. So, and the next steps after implementing ISO LITE might be that you never obtain full certification. That could be enough for you to trade. It could be enough for you to improve your business from the internal perspective. You wouldn't get a logo or anything that you could show your customers, but it would provide you with all the internal benefits. You could decide, actually, no, we do want to go ahead with full certification. So you go ahead with an initial assessment. We come in, and if that happens within 12 months of you purchasing the ISO LITE system, then we would give you your £495 back as part of the certification fee. So you actually never at a disadvantage by going ahead with ISO LITE first before going ahead with full certification. And if all successful at that initial assessment, that is when you would proceed to full certification. So we would provide you with a certificate and then put you onto our rolling audit schedule. So again, 3 options there. ISO LITE, never obtain certification, go ahead with initial assessment. If successful, proceed to full certification. So I hope that's given you some more information on what the ISO 9001 actually is and provided you with some options there. Just as a closing point before I ask if you've got any questions, but our vision has always been to educate businesses on the benefits of best practice and use good processes and procedures to achieve your goals. We feel in a competitive business environment that there is today, it keeps SMEs on their toes and there's therefore no margin for error. We feel that SMEs need to play more aggressively and punch above their weight to gain the advantage. And 9001, the benefits of 9001 are not overstated. Companies large and small that have worked with us and other organisations have gained from great benefits. Therefore, ISO LITE, we really wanted to allow the startups and micros and the businesses of the tomorrow the ability to get in there early with their quality management, so that in the future, when you're looking at certification, it's not so much of an upward or feels like an upward climb. So yes, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to take those now. Okay, questions just come through. Do you often find you have to implement lots of new systems for clients or mainly work with what they've got? I would say it does vary, but we do mainly work with what an organisation already has, because even if you're a small or a startup, or even if you're long and existing, there's going to be lots of good things that you already do. So the idea is to as I said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So as long as we can tweak it and make it compliant, then yeah, that's what we're all about. We're already 9,000, 1,050. I'm interested in learning about good practices. We'll learn about, okay. Yeah, I mean, with regards to learning about best practice, that potentially comes from maybe some training. The group training sessions tend to, the way that we run them, they're very interactive. So we tend to find that we have different organisations in the room, and they talk to each other and give each other kind of, oh, we do this, we do that. And they tend to all be businesses that are already running the 9001 like yourself. So that might be a good option for you to learn best practice, because not only do you learn from our trainer, but you learn from each other as well. Alternative to that, consultancy, having someone come in and just kind of reevaluating, especially if you've run a 9001 system for quite a while. Sometimes when you're in it, you can't see what there could be to improve. So sometimes having a consultant come in and helping you with that would be good. But yeah, I definitely recommend a training session where, whether it's with us or another provider, where you get an open training course with lots of other businesses there talking about it. In the initial implementation period, how often do you have contact with clients to help them implement? We have ongoing contact with them. Again, it really varies depending on what they want, but we could be on the phone to one customer every day for 20 minutes a day, or other customers might just want us once a week or once every couple of weeks. So in that 6 to 8 weeks, it really is constant contact, all dependent on client needs and any questions that they have. No, location's not a barrier. We cover the whole of the UK, Europe, and we've got clients over in the US as well. Right, thank you. So I think that's all for the questions. So I'd like to hand back over to Kate, if that's okay.